Okay, so I hope I can make myself heard. Apparently, I'm not the only one who have a sore throat. Usually, it's no problem, but today it might be. So just show me if I'm not heard. Okay, so first of all, thank you for the kind invitation. It's my second time to this beautiful island, and it's a pleasure to be here. I consider coming here visiting friends. So thank you very much for the kind invitation. For the next 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, I shall be talking about future skills. We shall be seeing together what sectors, what occupations, what jobs, and what education levels we think will be required in the near future. What do I mean when I say sectors? Well, by sectors I mean, would it be the primary sector? Would it be fisheries, agriculture? Would it be services? Would it be tourism? By jobs, would it be clerical jobs that we need? Would it be professional jobs? Would it be technicians? And of course, qualifications, you know. So this is what I shall be talking about in the next 20 minutes. I hope that by the end of my little speech, I would be able to answer which knowledge, skills, and competences will help young people and adults to find and to keep their jobs. I say young people find jobs, and I say adults keeping their jobs. These are two different challenges which we are facing today and which we'll face in the future. Okay, so past and likely future employment trends. Well, it is anticipated, as you will see, I will repeat this over and over again in different forms. It is anticipated that by the year 2020, 20 million additional jobs will be created. I say additional because there will be jobs that will be lost, and you have to replace those. And in addition to that, it is anticipated that 20 million jobs will be created. There will be a shift from the primary sector. Primary sector is the fisheries, the agriculture, the mining. Of course, a shift away from the traditional manufacturing industry and moving towards a services industry, moving towards knowledge intensive economy. So this is where the shift is anticipated to be. Okay, so past and future employment trends. Let's see those. Well, you see here being plotted the different sectors, at least how this EU study has been distributed. You can see that the primary sector, as I said, the fisheries, the agriculture, the mining, there will be a lower trend. So jobs will be lost in that sector. The construction industry, more or less, it will maintain its present state. Well, if you take the situation in Malta, it does that because government does everything, invents everything possible to keep the thing going. Otherwise, it would be going down. The manufacturing industry, we have been losing jobs to Asia for the last 10 years. That will continue, unfortunately. Not everyone will go to China, but or Asia, but it will slow down, but it's there. We'll lose jobs in the manufacturing sector. Well, this is the bleak situation. What compensates for that is the business and other services, and I shall be talking about each one of these. The business and other services, the non-marketed services you don't need to market, like the health, the education, etc. And of course the distribution and transport. Those are where the future jobs are going to be created. Okay, so we have seen that the biggest growth will be in the business and other services. Well, what goes under that? Well, there's banking, there's insurance, there's computer services, just to mention a few. I mean, just looking at that, I mean, these are all sectors, all areas that, for example, in Malta are booming. A few years ago, we had 2 banks in Malta. I'm mentioning Malta because I know the situation there. Today, we have 15 banks. They're all making a lot of money. They're all employing more and more people. So the same thing with the insurance companies. Nowadays, most people, private insurance, health insurances, car insurance, property insurance, you take an insurance. So it's a sector that is anticipated to grow. And the computer services. Every home has a computer. Every office has a computer. You need services, okay? And so that sector is again one which is booming. Nowadays in Malta, a little small island with just 400 people, we produce something like 3,000-4,000. If you multiply the sector, the university and other colleges, about 4,000 jobs every year. 4,000 new students, and they find jobs before they finish their qualification. So it's another area which is booming. Am I heard at the back? You okay? Okay. Okay. Another sector which is, of course, growing very fast is the non-marketed services. What do we mean by non-marketed? It's administration, it's education, health, and social work. Again, if you take education, I suppose Spain and Tenerife is very much like Malta. I mean, this was the monopoly of the government and the church. Nowadays, we have private schools, private universities, health, private clinics, private hospitals. I mean, things are moving forward. This is a sector which is booming. The education, one of the big money makers in Malta is English-speaking courses. There are companies mushrooming everywhere, offering English courses to foreigners, to different people from different countries. So this is another area which is booming and which will generate a lot of work. Well, let's see the same information which I have just been talking about, but maybe see a few figures now. Well, the primary sector, the mining, etc., will, up to the year 2000, lose something like 3 million jobs. The manufacturing...
Is that in Europe or where is it?
In Europe. In Europe. In Europe. Manufacturing, it's anticipated 1.5 million. Construction, more or less constant, from the year 2015 onwards. Distribution and transport, something like 5 million additional jobs. These are the sectors that will grow. The business and other services, the banking, insurances, IT services, and other things like that. Circa 14 million jobs. The non-marketed services, education, etc., over 5 million jobs. If you put all this together, plus and minus, and you get the net, all sectors will generate something like 20 million job plus. And all this has to be seen in a scenario when the demography is such that the working age population, even though governments are playing tricks on that, will fall to by around 6 million. So 20 million new jobs, and at the same time you have a shrinking number of people that are in the working age. Okay, so we have talked about sectors. We have seen which will go down the hill fast or at a slower rate, and which will grow. But where are the jobs? I mean, I can tell you the tourist sector is gonna boom, but Are there going to be jobs for clerks? Are there going to be jobs for engineers? Are there going to be jobs for architecture? So what are actually the jobs? Well, this gives you an idea of what the jobs are going to be. What you see in violet is the expansion, the growth. The yellow is the replacement, and this is the total. What interests us most is the expansion. If we start from the top, legislators, senior officials, managers, CEOs, CAOs, people at the top, people with high qualifications, with high degrees, masters, PhDs, and plus, okay? There's going to be new jobs for them, an additional maybe 3 million jobs. If you look at the professional, engineers, architects, lawyers, okay, doctors, over 5 million. The biggest growth is in the technicians and associate professional people. So it's the people that will be helping the professionals, not the professionals. So it's the technician, it's the nurses, it's the clinical officers. There will be a decrease in jobs for clerks, for example. Services, shop and market sales workers will see an increase, circa 3 million. A decrease, as we have seen, in agriculture and fisheries, in crafts. Plant and maintenance operators, people on the shop floor, okay? A slight increase. Remember, we're seeing a drop in the manufacturing sector. And elementary occupations, again, there is a growth there. So we've seen the sectors, we've seen the jobs. Now, what sort of education, what sort of qualifications would you need in order to be able to fill these jobs? Now, thank you. Well, if I'm being clear, I think it's all right. So, I think we are all familiar with what's happening regarding qualifications. For the same job nowadays, and I mean, this happened during my lifetime, so many of you can vouch for this. The same job is requiring people with higher education. I still remember when I joined the university 25 years ago, my God, in a time, we used to engage technicians with A-levels. Nowadays, we won't even consider it if they don't have a degree. Many have masters, some have PhDs. I mean, we have teachers with not more than a first degree. Now, many teachers have masters. Engineers, many engineers do a second degree, either in the area of specialization or in management. So, the same job is requiring more qualifications. That is not to say that there will be jobs for people from the university with degrees, with masters, with PhD, and that's it. There will be also jobs for people with medium qualifications. But what about those with low qualifications? Where would this feature? And this is a very interesting graph. Maybe this summarizes what I have to say. These are the low qualifications people. These are the medium, and that's the high. This is the situation in 1996, 2006, and 2020. You can see that there will be more jobs, there has been more jobs in the past for people with degrees, with high qualifications. That trend will continue. There will be more jobs for people with medium qualifications. These are technicians. I don't know if all of you, I come from the education, but I'm not sure about all of you. I don't know how familiar you are with the education framework, probably you are. I mean, these would be people with level 4 and level 5, degree is 6. So these will be people with level 4 and level 5 qualifications. Those people up there are probably 7 and 8, 6, 7 or 8, okay? These are the level 4 and level 5, the technicians, the nurses, etc. Well, but see what happens to the people with low qualifications. A massive decrease in jobs for those people. We are requiring better qualified people because we expect nowadays that the same job can be done better if you have a person with better qualifications. If we see this in figures, and again, the green shows the expansion or reduction. This is the replacement and this is the total. What we're interested mostly is in the expansion. See what's happening. 12 million jobs will be lost in the lower end. 12 million. This will be compensated by an equal, presto poco, increase in jobs needing people with medium qualifications and a big increase of jobs, 20 million people with higher qualifications. Put it together and it's the 20 million I've been talking about, 20 million new jobs. But this is an alert. Surely we have to do something about this. And in my opinion, we are in the business of educating people. And I think there are two things we have to do. And this is why when I started talking, I emphasized the importance of young people and adult learning. I think one of the first things that we need to do is to make sure that those people who have a job maintain their job. It's a summary of what I said before. Going back a bit, I did mention this, but the new jobs, the upper bit, you know, those are the qualifications for that. The middle, those are the qualifications with that. You have more or less the English system. You are familiar with A levels, etc. So that's the A level, and this is people with lower qualifications. But if we want people to maintain their job, these are the people who are at risk. These are the people that have low qualifications or no qualifications. And I suppose that the important thing there is lifelong learning. I do believe that educators, I come from university background, so I have every right to criticize universities because I'm one of them. Universities tend to tell people, this is what you need. But I think it's about time we listen what industry needs. I think we're too good at telling people what they require. I think we have to hear what they require. And if industry requires this is what industry requires. We have to give it that. And if you have people that are losing jobs in particular sectors, universities, colleges have to do something about that. They have to react for that. And I think this is what is needed to save many of those people losing their jobs. They will surely lose their jobs if they're not retrained, if they're not given skills that they don't have, if they're not given communication skills which they lack. So this, I think, is one of our duties. And we can do it. But that's not enough. What about the young people? What about the new jobs? New jobs will not come just like that. Investors, foreign investors, even local investors, they invest if it's worth investing. They invest if there's the right infrastructure. They invest if there are the skills that they require. I mean, both at the university and later on in a vocational college, I had hundreds during my lifetime, I'm sure you had the same, future investors coming and telling me, do you have people that are trained in this? I'm setting up this company. How about these courses? How about these qualifications? Will I find people with these qualifications? And it's when you tell them yes, it's when you tell them it's no problem, it's when you tell them we have and we'll do what you require, we'll work together with you and we'll do it. Only then will companies come. So it's important that that middle band, people with medium qualifications, we have to provide that. I mean, for a very long time in Malta, we had a university which is 400 years old, very good qualifications, people could go and study anywhere in the world, but the middle part of the pyramid was vacant, was completely, you would find good engineers, but where are the technicians? All right? So we had a problem, and we started solving this problem not long time ago. Vocational education, in my opinion, was the trick. We had vocational education was a taboo in Malta 10 years ago. Students didn't want to go to vocational schools because going to vocational schools meant declaring yourself a failure. You fail in every exam and you go to a vocational school. Parents didn't want their children to go to vocational schools. Employers didn't trust vocational qualifications. The government doesn't invest in a losing thing, okay? So, we had a big problem. With a concerted effort, with the effort of many people, we managed to turn that around. And in a few years, believe it or not, but there are people here that can vouch for that. In a few years, we turned that around. We created a number of vocational courses. We got these courses accredited, not only nationally, but EU. Malta was one of the first people, and I will introduce Vince, who was very important in this. In a few years' time, we had companies coming to the vocational college and asking us if we can work with them. One typical example was the aviation sector. I had Monday morning a knock on my door, I knew about it. It was Mario, you know, not Mario, the other. And one of the general managers, Lufthansa Technique, I want to open up a plant in Malta, but where are the people? I said, we don't have any people in that sector. The sector is unknown, but we'll work with you. In 3 years' time, okay, Lufthansa Technique came to Malta, EasyJet came to Malta, in a completely new sector, with no experience, we created 5,000 jobs. 5,000 good jobs. The IT sector, the university was providing 20, 30 graduates a year in a time when the IT industry was ready for a takeoff. All right? We started delivering people at different levels in the IT sectors, thousands a year, and they were all finding good jobs in Malta and outside Malta. And how did we do this? How did this transformation take place? Well, two things, I think. First of all, for many years, vocational education was a dead end. Okay? If you go up the stream in the vocational education, you reach level 5 as the maximum. Well, when I took over, there wasn't even a level in some levels. So 4 or 5, and that's it. You can't go anywhere. And people hate that. People want to look up and say, perhaps one day I'll be there. Okay? And Boris was instrumental in this. We introduced vocational degree programs. So people with a level 5, they could move on to a level 6 and get a degree. And from there onwards, you can go on. We had people that qualified in Malta, getting a degree and going to study in the UK, getting their masters, getting their PhDs. And these were people who 10 years down the line would be looked at as, you have no future, you're good for nothing. Okay? We gave these people a future. And this is one of the things that caused this shift in mentality. And Boris worked with us all the way in doing that. We'll talk about that later on. Another person in the chain was Vince, who will also be talking about his experiences. We got all these courses accredited, not only nationally, but internationally. Malta was one of the first countries, the third country, I think. The second country after Ireland, Vince is telling me, that joined the European framework. So all our courses were linked to the European framework. If you have a level 3 in Malta, you can go to the UK and say, a level 3, I can apply for a level 4 course, and that's it. If you get a level 5, you can go to England and continue studying for your degree, etc., etc. So these two things, I think, made a change. Now, I'm saying this because I'm sure you have very good universities, but I think that a country will start attracting investment, will start being attractive to foreign investors if you have both good universities, if you have both people at the top and people in the middle that fill that gap. And you cannot do that just by giving degree courses. You need vocational courses that fill in that gap. And having these two institutions, and it's easier said than done, having these two institutions working together and collaborating together, I think is a challenge, but I think if you work wisely, I think you can achieve that. And I think only then can we change the bleak situation that some of us maybe see. I don't see it as a bleak situation. I see it as a challenge, and I think we made it in Malta, and I'm sure we can do even better over here. Thank you, gentlemen.